Raymond Cattell's trait theory of personality is a comprehensive approach that seeks to describe and explain the structure of human personality. Cattell's theory is rooted in the idea that personality traits are the basic building blocks of an individual's personality. He utilized factor analysis and statistical method to identify and measure these traits. Here is an in-depth look at Cattell's trait theory. Cattell defined traits as relatively permanent characteristics that influence behavior. He distinguished between different types of traits. Surface traits, which is observable behaviors that can be easily seen and identified. Source traits, the underlying, less visible traits that are the fundamental dimensions of personality. Cattell used factor analysis to identify the underlying structure of personality. This statistical technique helped him to reduce a large number of surface traits into a smaller number of source traits. Working on Gordon Allport's theory, psychologist Raymond Cattell took Allport's list of more than 4,200 personality traits and dwindled it down to 171 traits. By combining those that were similar to one another and removing traits that were uncommon, Cattell then created questionnaires that used these traits and tested a large population sample. Once Cattell had the result from the questionnaires, he identified any terms that were closely related and used a statistical process known as factor analysis to describe the number of main personality traits even further. He concluded that a total of 16 personality traits were the source of all personalities, and that where single person had these traits to some degree. The 16 personality factors Cattell identified are abstractness, that is being imaginative and abstract versus being grounded and practical. Apprehension, that is being worried and insecure versus being confident and secure. Dominance, that is being forceful and assertive versus being submissive and obedient. Emotional stability, which is being calm versus being emotionally unstable and high-strung. Liveliness, that is being enthusiastic and spontaneous versus being restrained and serious. Openness to change, that is being flexible and open versus being traditional and attached to the familiar. Perfectionism, that is being self-disciplined and controlling versus being undisciplined and flexible. Privateness, that is being discreet and skewed versus being open and unpretentious. Reasoning, that is thinking abstractly and being more intelligent versus thinking concretely and being less intelligent. Rule consciousness, that is being conscientious and conforming versus being non-conforming and disregarding rules. Self-reliance, that is being self-sufficient and individualistic versus being dependent. Sensitivity, that is being sentimental and tender-hearted versus being unsentimental and tough-minded. Social boldness, that is being uninhibited and venturesome versus being shy and timid. Tension, that is being impatient and frustrated versus being relaxed and placid. Vigilance, that is being suspicious and skeptical versus being trusting and accepting. Finally, warmth, that is being outgoing and attentive to people versus being distant and reserved. Dynamic traits are related to motivation and goals. Cattell divided this into urge, which is innate drives or instinct, and sentiments, which is environmentally shaped motivations. Cattell believed that personality develops through the interaction of heredity and environment. He emphasized the role of both nature and nurture in shaping an individual's traits. The main criticisms of this theory are complexity. Some critics argue that Cattell's model is too complex, with too many traits, making it less practical compared to simpler models like the Big Five. Factor analysis methodology. There has been debate over the subjective decisions made during the factor analysis process, such as the number of factors to extract and how to interpret them. Raymond Cattell's trait theory of personality is a foundational contribution to personality psychology, providing a detailed and structured approach to understanding human traits. His use of factor analysis to identify and measure source traits was innovative and paved the way for future research in the field. Despite criticisms, Cattell's theory remains influential and continue to be a valuable tool for assessing and understanding personality. Now, try this.